I'm here with Colin, the director of Safety Not Guaranteed. Hi, Colin. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, how are you?
Can you give me just like a brief explanation, like kind of like a quick summary of the movie?
Yeah, the movie is based on a time travel ad that I think a lot of people have probably seen over the years on the internet that says, wanted someone to travel back in time with me. I've only done this once before. You must bring your own weapons. You'll get paid when we get back. Safety's not guaranteed. And it's a love story that follows a girl who tracks down the guy who wrote that ad.
Mm-hmm. This movie in general was just like so much fun. Was like there any particular scenes you really enjoyed, like working on or shooting?
Yeah, I mean, I loved working on the whole thing. It moved so quickly, and there was such an immediacy to the way we had to shoot it because we moved so fast that you didn't have that feeling of actors being in their trailers for 3 hours playing Xbox and then coming out and having to, get into the scene. People were just there and in it and constantly working, and so there was just an energy that flowed through each day, and we were working 12-hour days and really hustling it the whole time. And there was, for example, there was a night when we brought Jake Johnson's character and Karan Soni's character out to go out on a night on the town in this small beach village, and we were really in this beach village, and we found this old crappy amusement park that that no one ever goes to, but we just set them loose, riding these go-karts, and Jake's drinking whiskey and smoking while driving a go-kart, and all of that stuff was really built off of what was available, and you can tell that it is authentic. It's not manufacturing something authentic. Like, we really were out there. I wasn't drinking, but the character was, and so it was a lot of fun.
You said something about the beach amusement park and the location. The location itself worked so well for the movie and really portrayed the story really well, threw it forward. Can you talk a little about how you chose the location for the shoot?
Yeah, well, we shot in Seattle for some practical reasons, logistical reasons, that there was a great crew there waiting for us, and we knew that we could get it done at the right price. But the Pacific Northwest has a very mystical vibe to it that I always really responded to. My father grew up there, and we wanted to make sure that it was at it was at a port town because he's going on a departure, and a lot of the sets that we ended up finding were really there that way. There's a truck that they go to that's all covered with moss and looks like it hasn't been touched in 40 years. That's exactly how it looks. We just found that the house that Mark Duplass's character lives in is all overgrown with moss and looks like the earth is just taking it over, and that really is what that house looks like. We just found this place that had been left pristine since this guy's mother had died, and he left the house and didn't touch anything inside of it. And that, I'm sure, on a big budget film would cost tens of thousands of dollars to recreate that, and yet we had it because it's real.
It was so authentic. And speaking of being authentic, the casting was phenomenal. Can you talk a little about how you went about picking your really talented cast?
Yeah, the movie was originally written for Aubrey Plaza. Derek Connolly, the writer, saw her in, I think he saw her Funny People that summer, and he wrote it for her. It's not as creepy as it sounds. It was a very, artistically justified choice, and he saw in her an archetype that represents a generation of young women that he didn't feel there'd been a character in film, at least, that was that way. And what we really did with all these characters is we start them off as caricatures almost. We start them off as archetypes and then slowly break that down and turn them into real people. You've got the Indian nerd and the douchey guy who drives an Escalade, and then you have Kenneth, who you think is going to be just this kooky weird guy, but he's actually pretty grounded and real. And so that was part of the goal of the film, was to take actors like Aubrey, who you had a preconceived notion about what she is and what she does, and then just slowly dismantle it, over the course.
Right. Speaking about real, we were talking earlier before we went live about the music. In a scene in the movie, Kenneth plays a lot of live music. You talk a little about that,
Yeah, well, the score was written by Ryan Miller, who is the lead singer of the band Guster, which is an incredible band, and this is one of the first scores that he's ever done, and the music itself over the course of the movie really transforms along with the characters, in that it goes from being very indie guitar piano based, very lo-fi, and then we end with this pretty huge orchestral John Williams kind of score.
Right.
And I have a lot of a deep reverence for great movie songs, all the way back to Butch Cassidy and The Sting, and like these songs that when you think back to the music of those movies, like it's just indelible and it identifies the movie. And so we wanted to have a song that would outlive the context that it plays in the film, and just be a great song on its own, and I'm so proud of it.
It was really great.
I'll tell him. I didn't write it, but I'll tell him.
Please send it from Price Admission. We really love the song.
Cool.
But back to like the movie, how did you go about bringing a classified ad to life?
Well, that was Derek Connolly, the writer, who saw something very different in that classified ad than I think a lot of other people did. I mean, Derek and I both have a deep respect for the mullet man, and for for pushing it to the limit, and all of everything that meme grew to represent on the internet, and we didn't want to lose that. I mean, he does have a shotgun. He brings his own weapons, and we kept a lot of that, and yet we also needed to make a movie that wasn't campy. I wasn't interested in doing that, and so we found a very grounded, real foundation for that story, which is dealing with regret and loss and the emotional needs that time travel satisfies in all of us. And so ultimately, whether or not we have time travel in the movie, hopefully doesn't matter by the time you get to the end of the movie, because you've really been experiencing something that's a lot more about what these characters are going through, and why they need a time machine, as opposed to whether they actually have one or not.
Well, thank you so much, Colin. Is there anything else you just want to say before we wrap up?
I mean, thank you so much for having. I have a couple friends who went here, and they've spoken very highly of it. I like film school. I'm a proponent. I'm pro film school.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Colin.
My pleasure.
This has been Price of Admission, and definitely check out Safety Not Guaranteed. It's totally worth the price of admission.